What if everything you believe is real is just a well-crafted illusion? The screen you're staring at, the walls around you, the job you stress about, the memories you hold so dearly, even your own identity. What if all of it is just code? No, not just a metaphor. What if you're inside something, a system, designed so perfectly that you never even thought to question it? You eat, you sleep, you grow old, and you die. But what if none of it is what it seems? What if you were never supposed to know the truth, but somehow you're starting to feel it? Like a glitch in the program, a whisper from the edge of the simulation, a faint echo in your dreams that says, "Wake up!" This is not just science fiction. This is the line where philosophy, quantum, physics, and ancient spirituality collide, and if you dare to keep watching, you'll never see reality the same way again. You wake up, check your phone, brush your teeth, get dressed, go to work, scroll, eat, sleep, repeat. Most of us live our lives on autopilot. We follow invisible scripts, expectations placed on us since birth. Be productive, get a job, pay, taxes, buy things, fit in. But have you ever stopped, truly stopped, and asked yourself, why does everything feel hollow? Why does the routine feel like a cage? Why do some people break the pattern and see the world differently? Are they just dreamers, or are they waking up from something we're still trapped inside? We call it reality, but it's a version of reality that's been filtered, packaged, and handed to us. From the moment we're born, we're taught what to believe, how to think, what is real and what is crazy. But here's a mind-bending truth. What you experience as reality isn't reality at all. It's your brain's interpretation of sensory signals. Light doesn't have color. Sound doesn't exist without ears. Your brain is locked inside a dark skull. It never directly sees the world. It only sees patterns of energy, decoded into an illusion so seamless. You mistake it for truth, colors, shapes, sounds, emotions, all generated inside your mind. So what is the real world then? Is there even such a thing? Think about this. If a machine fed your brain all the same electrical signals you get from the outside world, would you even know you were in a simulation? The answer? Probably not. Just like in a dream, you believe it's real until you wake up. But what if you're still dreaming? In 1999, The Matrix hit theaters and shook the world, a sci-fi movie. Or so we thought. But what if it was more than just fiction? What if it was a warning disguised as entertainment, a story about a man who starts questioning his reality, only to discover it was a digital illusion, a simulation, created to keep him under control? Sounds dramatic. But here's the thing, that idea isn't new, not by a long shot. Ancient Hindu texts spoke of Maya, the grand illusion of the world. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, described prisoners chained since birth, watching shadows on a wall, believing the shadows were reality. The concept of being trapped in an illusion goes back thousands of years, but now science is starting to catch up. Elon Musk said it's almost a certainty that we're living in a simulation. Nick Bostrom, a respected philosopher at Oxford, wrote a paper in 2003 proposing that if any advanced civilization ever ran simulations of their ancestors, and if they ran enough of them, then it's far more likely that we are in one of those simulations than in base reality. Think about it. If a civilization reaches the ability to simulate reality, and does it millions or billions of times, then most conscious beings wouldn't live in the original universe. They'd live inside the simulation. So, are you one of them? Sounds crazy. But consider this. In your dreams, everything feels real until you wake up. And what is a dream, if not a simulation generated by your mind? If your brain can already do it, simulate people, places, sounds, emotions, Who's to say a more advanced intelligence couldn't do the same? But better? More consistent? More detailed? More convincing? Maybe that's what this is. A dream you haven't awakened from. Not yet. Let's break it down. We already live in a world where we simulate realities. Video games, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. Every year, the lines between digital and physical get blurrier. NPCs are evolving. AI can hold conversations, mimic emotions, write books, even dream. And all of that is still primitive. Now imagine a civilization 1,000 years ahead, or 10,000. Imagine their simulations. They wouldn't just mimic life, they'd create it. Simulated beings with consciousness. Beings who believe they are alive. Just like you do now. And here's where it gets really strange. In 2022, scientists at Fermilab and other institutions began looking for physical evidence that we live in a simulation. They proposed experiments to detect pixelation in space-time, as if reality were made not of atoms, but of digital bits. They're looking for a resolution limit, like the frame rate of a video game. Why? Because if space and time have a smallest possible unit, a quantum pixel, it could mean we're not in a continuous physical universe, but in a rendered one, a program, a construct. In other words, reality might be a user interface. Just like your phone screen isn't the real data, it's a way to interact with the data. Reality might be the interface between you and something deeper. The real world might be something else entirely, something outside the simulation. And here's the twist. You wouldn't be able to perceive it from within, just like Mario can't see the player holding the controller. So how do we know? How do we find out if we're inside a simulation? Some say it's impossible. Others believe the clues are all around us, hidden in plain sight, in moments of déjà vu, in patterns that repeat, in numbers that follow you, in dreams that feel more real than waking life. What if all of it is trying to tell you something? What if you're meant to wake up? What you call reality is not objective. It's a filtered experience. Your eyes only see a narrow slice of the electromagnetic spectrum. You can't see ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, yet they're all around you right now. Your ears hear a tiny fraction of possible sound frequencies. You can't hear what a bat hears. You can't sense magnetic fields like birds do. You can't smell like a dog. You can't see heat like a snake. So what is reality? If all you can perceive is a sliver of what's actually there, how can you trust your senses? Your brain is not a camera. It doesn't record. It edits. What you see isn't what's out there. It's what your brain believes should be there. Every second, your brain receives 11 million bits of information. But you're only aware of about 40. Everything else? Filtered out, deleted, hidden behind the curtain, and you think you're awake? You're only seeing what your mind allows you to. Perception is not truth. It's a construction. You don't live in the real world. You live in a model of the world, one created inside your mind. And here's the kicker. No two people live in the same reality, because no two people have the same model. Your beliefs, your traumas, your culture, your language, all of it shapes your filter. So when two people argue about truth, they're arguing about different simulations. Now imagine this. What if your entire perception of the world was inserted? What if it was designed, a custom simulation made just for you? Your memories, your preferences, your struggles. What if the suffering you face is part of the programming? Not to punish you, but to trigger you, to push you to question everything. Because the moment you question the illusion begins to crack. And that's when it gets interesting. You were born, you grow, you age, and one day, you die. Linear. Predictable. That's how we're taught to see time. But what if time doesn't exist the way we think it does? Einstein shattered the idea of absolute time over a century ago. He proved that time is relative. It bends, it stretches, it slows down, it speeds up at the speed of light. Time stops entirely. So here's the mind bender. If time can be manipulated, is it really a fundamental part of the universe, or is it just a setting, a slider on the simulation's control panel? What we call the past is just memory. The future is just imagination. The only thing that truly exists is this moment. Now. But even the present is unstable. Your brain takes time to process input. You're always experiencing a delay, a fraction of a second behind reality. So, the now you live in already happened. Which begs the question, where are you really? And then there's space. We assume things are out there, separate, external, distant. But quantum physics says otherwise. Particles influence each other instantly, across vast distances, as if space doesn't exist. This is called quantum entanglement. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. It suggests that everything is connected beneath the illusion of separateness. So what if space, like time, is just part of the rendering engine, a coordinate system, a way to structure the illusion? And what about you? You think you're a body, a name, a personality. But these are labels, costumes your consciousness wears, the voice in your head, the story of your life. Is that really who you are, or just a character in the game? What happens when you stop identifying with the story? What remains? That question terrifies the ego, because when you go deep enough, you find that the self is not solid. It's a projection, a user avatar. You are not the character. You are the one playing the character. If reality is a simulation, then surely, sometimes it glitches, and maybe, just maybe, you've already seen it. Moments that feel off, things that don't quite make sense. The universe winks, and for a second, the veil slips. Let's talk about déjà vu. That strange sensation that you've lived this moment before. A flicker of familiarity in a place you've never been. Science tries to explain it as a neurological misfire. But what if it's something deeper? A memory leak from another timeline? A repeated loop in the code? A checkpoint? Loading again? Maybe déjà vu is not an error. Maybe it's a breadcrumb, a sign you're on a predestined path, or breaking free from it. Then there are the coincidences that are too perfect. You think of someone, and they call. You're humming a rare song, and it plays next. You dream of a symbol, and see it the next day. Call it synchronicity. Call it divine timing. Call it a glitch. Either way, it doesn't fit in a purely mechanical universe. It suggests something behind the curtain is aware, responsive, interactive, like the simulation is watching. Have you ever had a dream that felt more real than waking life? Where time bent? Where people you've never met knew your name? Or have you experienced a moment that felt scripted, as if someone had written the scene just for you? Maybe they did. Maybe the simulation bends reality around your awareness. Maybe when you become more conscious, the code reacts. Just like a video game that renders the world only when the player looks at it. Reality might only sharpen when you pay attention. So what happens when you really start looking? People report seeing repeating numbers. 1111, 222, 333. Others talk about time loops, Mandela effects, objects moving or disappearing, animals staring, strangers saying things they shouldn't know. Are they signs, bugs, messages, or is the system testing you, trying to see if you'll ignore it or awaken? Because once you see enough cracks in the surface, you can't unsee them, and then the illusion starts to dissolve. Here's the paradox. Science can't explain consciousness. It can map the brain. It can analyze neurons, scan thoughts, measure reactions. But it still can't answer one haunting question. Why do we experience anything at all? Why is there a mind behind the machine? Some scientists believe consciousness is just a side effect of brain chemistry. But others, including physicists and philosophers, suggest something far more radical, that consciousness is fundamental, that it doesn't arise from the universe. It creates the universe. That without an observer, there is no reality. Sound crazy? Consider this. In quantum physics, particles behave differently when observed. Until you look, they exist in a cloud of probabilities. Only when measured do they collapse into form. In other words, the act of observation creates reality. Let that sink in. So, what if this whole simulation only exists because you're here to perceive it? What if your awareness is the projector and the world is the movie? This would mean you're not just in the simulation. You're shaping it, your beliefs, your focus, your energy. They don't just color your experience, they determine what the simulation renders for you. Reality doesn't show you what's true, it shows you what you're ready to see. And maybe that's the point. Maybe this simulation is not a prison, but a mirror, reflecting your fears, your desires, your wounds, your potential. It bends around your level of awareness. It gives you exactly what you need to evolve. The pain, the struggle, the chaos? Maybe it's not random. Maybe it's a coded challenge meant to wake you up, not punish you, but activate you to push you toward a higher version of yourself. And here's the deepest truth of all. If you are consciousness, if you are the awareness behind the illusion, then you are not limited by the rules of the simulation. You are not the code. You are the one watching it run. And the moment you truly realize this, the moment you stop identifying with the character, you gain something extraordinary. Freedom. The power to rewrite the script, to reshape the story, to bend reality from the inside out. Because the most powerful glitch in the simulation is a human being who remembers what they really are. Awakening doesn't happen all at once. It begins with a whisper, a question you can't unask, a feeling that something isn't right, that something doesn't add up. Then, the world starts to shift. Things you once accepted without question now feel strange. Beliefs crumble, identities dissolve. What once gave you comfort now feels like a cage. This is the beginning of awakening. It's not always beautiful. In fact, it's often terrifying. You lose your sense of self. You question everything, your past, your choices, even your purpose. You may feel disconnected, alone, misunderstood. But this is not the end. It's the clearing, the tearing down of the false so the true can emerge. You're not going crazy. You're waking up. And then something incredible happens. You stop reacting to the script and start reading between the lines. You stop chasing external validation and start tuning into inner guidance. The simulation doesn't control you anymore. You become the lucid dreamer, aware within the dream. You begin to notice the signs. You feel the energy shift. You sense patterns, meaning, timing. You no longer see life as random. You see the code. And once you see the code, you start to shape it. You realize that your thoughts are signals. Your emotions are commands. Your choices ripple outward, rearranging the field. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this showing me?" You live more intentionally, more presently, more powerfully. You become a glitch in the system, not an error, but a wake-up call for others, a signal, a beacon, proof that it's possible to break free. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you came here, not to escape the simulation, but to learn how to operate it, to remember that the Matrix isn't evil, it's an opportunity, a test, a challenge, a school. And now that you're awake, what will you do with it? If reality is an illusion, if your life is part of a simulation, if your identity is a mask and the world is a stage, then what do you do with that truth? Do you ignore it? Go back to sleep? Pretend it never happened? Or do you lean in and ask the question that changes everything? Why am I here? Maybe you're not here to win the simulation, but to wake up within it. To remember that you are not just the character, you are the awareness playing the game. And the more conscious you become, the more the simulation begins to shift, not around you, but through you. What you believe becomes what you see. What you feel becomes what you attract. What you choose becomes your timeline. The illusion doesn't bind you, it mirrors you, and that means you have power, more than you were ever told. So what now? Now, you question everything, not with fear, but with curiosity. You notice, you observe, you become still. You listen not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper beneath it, the part of you that always knew, the part that's been waiting for you to remember. You let go of who you were programmed to be, and you begin becoming who you really are. Not a follower, not a victim, but a conscious creator, a glitch, a rebel, a living, breathing disturbance in the simulation. So the next time reality feels strange, the next time you catch the glitch, or sense the pattern, or hear the whisper, don't turn away. That's your invitation. Because once you question the illusion, you've already started to break it. And once it breaks, nothing is ever the same again.